Hi, and welcome to another episode of Cooking with Carolyn. Today we are making crispy fish tacos, and one catch, they are not fried. So let's get started. First, let's get started with our aioli sauce. Now, aioli sauce is normally found on your fish tacos, nice creamy sauce. Ours in particular starts with a couple of tablespoons of chopped chipotle peppers. Now, chipotle peppers are basically a jalapeno pepper that's been smoked and put in a lovely adobo sauce. All right, so that's gonna give it a nice, smoky, rich flavor. To this, we're gonna add about a quarter cup of mayo. All right. Next, we're gonna add some sour cream, or you can also use some Greek yogurt. All right, about a half a cup. Okay, I'm going to give that a quick stir. All right, some salt and pepper. See, not so bad. A little bit of pepper because you still got the heat coming from the chipotle peppers. And then I'm going to take a microplane, and you hear me talk about a microplane quite a bit, but this is what it actually looks like. And it's really a grater that takes on really hard cheeses and things like ginger, and you can also use it for your garlic and get your garlic nice and minced really fine, or grated really fine. But remember, when you get down so far, stop. You don't want to grate your fingers right in the food. Okay? And we're going to stir that in. Now, for our last little touch of acidity, for the richness of this sauce, I'm going to add some tequila, some good old reposado. All right, about a tablespoon. Now, if you're having some issues and you don't feel comfortable adding the tequila, or if some kids are going to be eating this aioli sauce, go ahead and use lemon juice or lime juice. So let's just give that a stir. That smells good. All right, let's put that to the side and get going on our fish. So to talk about our fish for a minute, I'm using tilapia. If you don't happen to like tilapia or you don't have it handy, you can also use a codfish, or a halibut would be a really good substitute. So I'm gonna take this nice piece of tilapia, a few ounces, about 3-ounce fillets, okay? And I'm just gonna cut it the long way, the length of the fillet, and just make strips, okay? And this fillet, I can get about 4 strips, all right? Just like that. And then after this, we just move on into our breading. After you get through cutting up your fish into your nice strips, what you're gonna do is turn to your breading station now. So a lot of recipes that call for breading will call for a breading station. Now, all that means is you're gonna have 3 steps in the breading process, in this particular recipe anyway. You have your flour, some beaten eggs or egg wash, and sometimes it'll call for a little water, and this has a little bit of water in it. This is 2 eggs with about a tablespoon of water. And then back here we have the final coating is some panko breadcrumbs, and that's all that is Japanese breadcrumbs, and they're really crunchy and they're really light. So let's go with our fish, and we're just gonna start off in our flour. All right, and I did season the flour with a little bit of Grand Diamond seasoning, about a tablespoon per cup that you use, all right? Right, so we're gonna bread it here. And once it goes to the egg, that's when I start to dedicate one hand to breading, because you just get it kind of all over your hands. It's a dirty job, but well worth it in the end, okay? So we go from our flour to the egg wash and coat your fish right in the egg, okay? And then you move to your panko, which I also season. I seasoned each step, so that way you're not missing a chance to season your food, and you just carry those flavors right on through. All right, so just make sure that your panko breadcrumbs are covering all the parts of your fish. Give it a little bit of a press, just like that, and then place it right on a plate. And you want to let the fish sit for about 5 or 6 minutes. That way you'll give the breading a chance to adhere to the fish. And remember, we're not frying these, we're gonna bake them. We've gotten through the holidays, so all that cheating is over. No. No, you can pan fry these if you wanted to, and you don't have a lot of time. Go ahead and pan fry these on each side for about 2 to 3 minutes. But actually, we're going to bake them for 20 minutes, 425 degrees. First 10 minutes, and then you turn them over at mid cooking point. Turn them over on the other side, and you cook them for another 10 minutes. So it's a 20-minute total cooking time. Okay? And I got the last couple. And as you can see, I've done all the other pieces of fish. And then we're just going to move straight to our baking sheet. Now that we're done doing all of the breading, make sure you throw out everything from your breading station that you breaded your fish with. The flour, your egg, and your panko. You don't want to put those back into your fresh supply. So throw it out. And don't reuse it, okay, once you're done. So we have our fish here that has been resting for about 5 minutes, giving the breading a chance to adhere to the fish. So now what I'm going to do is take some olive oil and my cookie sheet or your baking sheet. And all I've done is put some olive oil right on the surface of it, and I'm just going to brush it. And this is just going to keep the fish from sticking. You can also line this if you want to with some nonstick or parchment paper. But this is also going to help in the browning process because the oven is so high, it's at 425 degrees. The fish is going to brown actually on the bottom and on the top. But that's why we're turning it so we get a nice even golden brown texture and color. All right? All right, so let's just take our fish and lay it right on. Another good fish for this recipe is red snapper because it's a nice firm fish. I've actually done that, and that was really good. Okay. Let's go for, and leave some space between your fish. Don't put them too close together because you want them to crisp up nice. Right after you get all the fish right on the bun pan, just put a little bit of extra virgin olive oil right on the top of the fish, which will also help in the browning process. Okay, just a little bit of a drizzle. Okay. And then we're going to go into our oven once again, 425 degrees for 20 minutes. Now let's talk about some toppings for the tacos. So, of course, you can't have a great fish taco without some toppings. So what we're going to top it with is some Savoy cabbage. And that's just your regular head of cabbage that you find in your grocery store. And I've shredded it nice and fine. If you don't want to do it with, if you don't want to do it with a knife or by hand, you can also run it through your processor. But you want it nice and thinly shredded so it's easy to eat and you get that crunch in your taco. I also have some diced or some really finely chopped cilantro. I have some diced tomatoes and some nice red onion. If you don't want to use red onion, you can also use the shallot. And then, of course, to squeeze that last bit of tanginess to the taco is some slices of lime. Now, this is the way you would set it up if you want everybody to kind of fix their own taco their way. You could also take the onions and the tomatoes, add a little bit of garlic, and I put some habanero chilies and just make a quick pico de gallo. All you have to do is just put these ingredients together, squeeze a little bit of lime over it, and you got a quick salsa right there. So it's up to you. You have your choice of what you want to do, but these are great toppings for the taco. So let's get going on our tortillas. Over here on the grill. If you don't have a grill pan or this particular device, this griddle or grill, because it's a grill and a griddle on each side, you can use a pan. You can also just brush some olive oil. This is a way to cheat. You can also brush some olive oil on these tortillas and pop them in the microwave just until they're pliable. So some time can be saved and you could be eating quicker. All right? So we just want them to be pliable. We don't need them to be crispy. Just put them there. Just let those stay down a couple of minutes on each side and we'll give them a turn. Now that all of our components are done for our crispy fish tacos, we're just going to take us a plate and we're going to get a couple of tortillas. All right. Just do them like that. And then take a nice piece of fish. You can break up the fish if you want, or you can just leave them in whole strips. Okay. All right, then we're just gonna top them with a little bit of cabbage. Okay. As much as you like. And because the pico de gallo is here sitting with that habanero and I like the spice, that's what I'm gonna put on top also. Go for some of the cilantro. A little bit of onion. Okay. And then some of this spicy pico de gallo. Some garlic. And let's not forget the aioli sauce that we made earlier. It's been waiting for us. I put it in the refrigerator while we were doing the other components, so you might want to do that too, especially if there's going to be some time lapse in between you making the tacos. So be sure and put the aioli in the refrigerator and just top it just like that. That's all the time we have for today. Thanks for joining me. Check out Facebook at Cooking with Carolyn and Grand Diamond Seasoning and like us. Don't forget to go to gdseasoning.com and order your seasoning. And also, we want to make some of your recipes on our show, so send them to recipes@cookingwithcarolyn.tv, and we'll see you next time.